Loyd, will you share why it is important for CFOs to enhance their succession planning knowledge?
Well, I can't talk about CFOs until I talk about myself. And Ed over there, the fountain of understanding and technical wisdom, and even Brian. And the reason I say that is because the body of knowledge in succession planning, as Ed has pointed out earlier, is continuing to expand. 30 years ago, we didn't know what a LLC was. 30 years ago, limited partnerships, which are very awkward, they were the thing. Now, limited partnerships are extinct almost. That's a technical issue. And the differences today in the perspective of the millennials versus their parents, there's never been a harder difference. I mean, there's a great deal of differences. And that's why the CFO needs to continue to stay engaged, to learn about issues that are impacting succession, to learn about soft topics. And how does this occur? Basically, if you want knowledge today, you will get it. The internet, there's no shortage of it, and the network of opportunities you have with your accounting firm, your attorney, there's just no limitation to the information. If you want to be a powerful Reliance advisor, you've got to continue expanding your knowledge and your understanding of things that could happen, not things that are just happening.
Thanks, Loyd. Ed, how can a CFO enhance their technical knowledge?
Well, these technical items or the hard side issues can be challenging to get your arms around. And, what we all must remember is that these financial officers, they have full-time jobs. They have heavy responsibilities in their organizations. And, carving out the time and commitment is so critical. And these rules are ever changing. So, what might have been the play under Trump today is not the play under Biden, let's say, because these things are changing. So they really need to stay current. And the key here, I think, would be to get the owner's buy-in up front, that he's willing to invest in the CFO or the financial officer to get up to speed. It doesn't have to be an expert, but has to know enough to identify the fact pattern so it could be put together. And there are so many sources out there. Loyd mentioned several that are outstanding type sources. And my thoughts would be, and what Loyd mentioned would be like the attorneys. So, talk to your lead corporate counsel, take them to lunch, talk to their firm's estate planner, talk to other firms' estate planners, maybe that specialize in your industry. And, pick people's brains, come with your list of questions and, what have you seen work? What have you seen blown up? Prepare. Just don't go for the food or the glass of Merlot to think of Loyd. And then the accounting firms, they also know the history of the company. So your current firm, or, if you've got a firm courting you, talk to them, ask them what they're seeing and how it works and why it has worked and why it hasn't worked. There's a lot of other financial advisors out there. Be careful there, but there are other advisors out there that typically or sometimes end up in an insurance solution. But, it's important to understand what those options might be, because that may be a key part and a very good decision as part of this. The other big item in all of this would be to understand and know the real estate. And who do you go to know the real estate? Maybe an investment banker or a broker. They've got to understand the real estate, the value of it. They've got to understand the value of the business. So, these investment bankers, these dealership brokers out there, very key people to at least talk to maybe get some intel on pieces of this big puzzle that they can start putting together. So, why would they want to do this? And, what are the challenges? Well, it's going to take time. But if you can gather some information, learn from other people, what they've done, what's been successful and what's not successful, it certainly seems like the process should go smoother and you should have a better result in the long run. And, the other thing, Loyd mentioned the internet that I probably should mention. There are a lot of online courses now that the AICPA does, CPA firms do, the attorneys I see that are doing them. You go out on LinkedIn these days and everyone's got a webinar. And I often look at those and think, what a good idea. And I'll listen in. So, here again, look and seek out sources of knowledge. Those are my thoughts. Now back to you, Kendall.
Thanks, Ed. And Loyd, how about the soft people issues?
Well, it's not only soft people issue, it's soft general issues. And I think the best way to address those is to just be inquisitive, to network. I don't know a chief financial officer who doesn't know a lot of chief financial officers. I don't know a controller who hasn't had exposure to other controllers. And these other colleagues, friends, they're resources for you who can talk about some of these soft issues. And also read. There are a lot of good books out there who can, or internet sourced podcasts, as Ed was referring to, that can address whatever issue it might be, whether it be family dynamics or whether it be management, synergy and teamwork, or family governance. I mean, there's resources everywhere. But I think the number one issue by far is networking. Call and ask. Your friend, your colleagues may not have the answer you're looking for, but they almost always will have another connect for you to continue your pursuit of knowledge and understanding. And these soft issues are primarily a subject of experience. And if you've been around a while, have confidence in some of your intrinsic feelings. If you've been around, if you've got 20, 30 years in the industry that qualifies you to be a CFO, then you can have a valid opinion on some of these things. Just offer that opinion when asked, when solicited. Be careful about driving your opinions in environments where, notably you don't have any prior training or experience, but have confidence in your opinion.
Thanks, Loyd. And Brian, to round out this topic, in addition to what's been shared, what other specific resources are available for CFOs who are wanting to enhance their succession planning knowledge?
Well, I think we pretty much covered all the bases with the internet. Obviously, Crowe's CFO Roundtable talks about a variety of topics. The Loyd Rawls Group website is a great place to start as well. I think the key here is, like Loyd and Ed mentioned, just don't be afraid to pick up a phone, to call somebody. Ed and I certainly don't have the expertise that Loyd does in this, on this topic, but we certainly do know how to pick up the phone and get a hold of him. And, don't be afraid to ask. I think that's the biggest key. And Loyd, as far as CFOs, if you go into a group and a CFO has absolutely no knowledge of succession planning, how do you help them get started, or what, do you tell them to read a book, or is it kind of just an informational discussion, or does that not happen? I'm just kind of curious on how that process takes place.
Well, fundamentally, a CFO of a client is my client as well. And I would make an effort to begin educating them on everything we've talked about in this series of podcasts, starting with how important they are to the succession planning role and how much of a problem they can be creating if they are reluctant to get involved, if they hold themselves back. And then I would encourage them to follow the same things that we've all said earlier, which is use your network, talk to the attorney, you talk to the accounting firm, call Crowe, join a forum. And of course, I would offer them some reading material. Fortunately, the Rawls Group has quite a bit of reading material on succession planning that addresses the general concept of succession planning, as well as the role of key managers in succession planning. We have a history of articles going back 30 years that address family dynamics, family governance, and we can overwhelm them almost with this information, but they've got to be willing to spend the time in an educational process, and with our encouragement, in some cases coaching and providing these resources, we've seen tremendous growth in CFOs and the impact that they can have on these organizations.
Absolutely, I can imagine for sure.
Thanks, Loyd. And Brian, for the CFOs who are interested in learning more about the roundtable, how can they do that?
Yeah, so they can reach out to myself at brian.brueggeman, which I believe my name is on the screen. If not, it's brian.brueggeman at Crowe, CROWE.com.
Thank you.